This video is going to take you through the ProLib Year End Procedures. Much of this will be familiar to you, but this is the new version, and so there may be some details that are different. So first of all, you are going to click on the radio button that says Year End. And the first thing that you have to do is to clear out the pupils that have left the school from various classes, not necessarily the top end of the school. So you're going to have ready a list of those leavers, and if possible, their numbers, their library numbers, and make sure that their books have been returned and their fines have been cleared before you can delete them. So we click on the first button that says delete members by number, and I'm going to put in the pupils that I have got that are leaving from around the school, not necessarily in the top grade. I have their numbers, but then there is also a pupil, Karen Prentice, who is leaving, and I don't have her library number. So I can press the lookup button and I type in the first three letters of her surname, and there she is, Karen Prentice. So I can select her and click on apply. So now those are the 5 pupils that are leaving the school, and when I click on save, it is going to delete those members from the system. Pupil deletions completed successfully. The next step is to delete the members from the top class in the school. In other words, it's usually going to be your grade 7s or your grade 12s. In my case, it's going to be the grade 7s. So I go delete members by grade and class. So I want to delete all the grade 7s. So I put in there grade 7. And then I can leave the next field, this field here, blank, and that will give me all of my grade 7 classes. Now you will see there's a button here that says all yes, no. When we click on that, it has put a tick next to all of the pupils in grade 7. But there are 2 pupils from grade 7 who have failed, and who are going to be repeating grade 7, so we don't want to delete them. So we're going to take out the tick from M. de Jong, and then there is another pupil, Young Pew, so I go to his name and I take out the tick. Now it is going to delete everybody except for those 2 pupils. So when I click on save, it has come up with a message that says there were 2 members without items out or fines, and these have not been deleted. And it will now show you a report, and it gives you the name Sasha Lee Fagan and James Gallo had books out. So make a note of those numbers and then go and action those so that you can then delete them. Right. Now we can set up the new year's structures. The first one is the system defaults. Now most of this will have remained the same, so I click on F4. You no longer have to fill in the new year in this field here. That's going to be done by the system for you later on. I will show you. Most of you will have filled in these default book costs when you move to the new system. But if you have not yet done that, then this is how it works. When you are accessioning a book, you normally fill in an amount that you have paid for that book, and that information stays. But if you haven't filled in an amount, you can fill in a default cost for a fiction, fact, and a reference book, and then the system can calculate what is the total value of the books in your school. So just for illustration purposes, I'm going to say that my fiction book's default value is going to be 100. My fact books are going to be 150. and my reference books are going to be 200. You can fill in any amount. Now, when I click on Save, it goes through and counts, goes through all the books in the library, puts in those default values if there wasn't a value already filled in. If there was a value, it won't overwrite it. And here it tells you the total value of the books in your library. And this information is quite useful for the management, and you can give them that information. So I click on Continue. Nothing on this page will have changed. F4 and F4, and that is our system default setup. Now you're going to set up your academic calendar, and for that you will need your term dates. First of all, you put in 2018 in that top field, and then you go to the bottom left-hand corner to this radio button, Allocate Terms. It's 2018, it's four-term school, and I'm just going to make up dates, 01/01/2018, and you then press enter. So there I have filled in my term dates. Remember, for this, especially for this last end of year date, you do not have to fill in the actual day that school closes. You can fill in there the date that you want your library to close. So for example, exams start on the 1st of December. You can make that your closing date for your library. So I filled in there the 1st of December 2018. Then click on Save, and you can also fill in your public holidays if you wish to, particularly important if you are running the fine system, but I'm not, so I'm going to click on Save. So that's our academic calendar set up. The next one is the grades. They are very unlikely to have changed. Your grades have already been set up. Similarly with your member types. So for example, I have got P for pupils, but you must make sure that you have filled in the associated grades for each grade that is associated with the pupil type, P for pupil. Next thing is your register classes. Now it is important that you understand that you do not delete register classes until after the promotions routine, because the routine needs to know from which class to which class the children are going. But when you have done your promotions, you may have some details that you want to change. For example, Jan Gallo may get married in the holidays and become Jan Smith, in which case this is where you would change it. Tutor groups are unlikely to have changed, and nor will sports houses have changed. Now we're ready to move to the next academic year. So we click on the radio button, Move to the next academic year, and we fill in our date there, Move library into the next academic year, 2018. And this will change your system defaults and will also work out what your next available accession number is in the year 2018. Normally, we recommend that you delete outstanding reserves, start the year off fresh, tell the children all reserves have been cancelled. If you're here on the first day, you can get out whatever books you want. And similarly, we recommend that you delete outstanding fines. However, there is a facility that allows you to fill in a value, and any fine above this value will not be deleted from ProLib. So if, for example, you want to say, I'm not letting off children if they've got fines more than 40 Rand, then you can fill in a value here, and those fines will not be deleted. Now, we don't want you to proceed to the next academic year by mistake, so we make it difficult for you by saying you have to type in the word proceed before you can move to the next academic year. If you're happy that everything's correct, you click on F4 and the system goes through and updates various counters, and finally you will be ready to promote members to the new year. So we click on the radio button, promote members to the new year, and first of all you have to fill in the new year's grade and class. So I am going to do grade 7 class H, and they are coming from grade 6, and here you fill in the classes that they could have come from. In my case, they could have come from 6E or from 6M. Then I go enter, 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 enter over those fields until all the pupils appear. Now, if you have a situation at your school where the pupils move up as a block, then you don't have to fill in the individual classes. You can just move all of 6E up to 7H. In my case, we mix and match the pupils, so I've pulled up both classes. At this point, it's quite useful to have two people, one with the class lists and the other person on the computer. And then you go through and you take out any pupils that are not going into 7H. So Kirsten Adams, yes. Kimberly Atkinson, yes. Andrea Beck, yes. Bunzaya, no. Bradshaw, no. Brown, no. And so on. And you go through and you take out the pupils that are not moving to 7H. And when you finish that exercise, you click on F4, save, process completed, OK. So now we have created 7H, and when we then go to create 7M, they could have also come from 6E, and they could have come from 6M. Now, all you will see is the pupils that were not put through in the previous exercise, and you go through and you say Bunzaya, yes, Bradshaw, Brown, de Villiers, Duplessis, etc. And when you click on F4, those pupils are all moved into the next class. And that completes your grade 7s. You now go on to create your grade 6s, moving up from grade 5, and then you create your grade 5s, moving up from grade 4, and so on until the whole school have been promoted, and you have a gap, spaces in your grade 1 class, and you then put in your new pupils. And that concludes the year-end procedures in ProLib.